I can go to, where do I go to? I don't even get to go there. But with somebody told me that a whole bunch of civilian positions over there. They say that we got openings in the bunch. Yeah, but see, somebody.
Good afternoon. Today there's going to be two different press conferences because of something that has come up for this afternoon. The first one I'm going to deal with has to do with Halloween, and the other one I'll wait until after your questions are over. And of course, anybody who's here, if you wish to stay, you're certainly invited, but if you've got other things that are pressing, I don't want to hold you from that, and I'll give you an opportunity for you to walk away, and then I'll be glad to respond to any questions that you may have on this second subsequent announcement. The City of Detroit has a long history of citizen participation in efforts designed to help others, initiatives that make our community stronger. Today we are again drawing upon that tradition and building upon that record of commitment as we kick off our annual Halloween anti-arson campaign. Last year, the people of Detroit made it clear through their anti-arson efforts that they would no longer tolerate the senseless destruction of our neighborhoods. Thousands of Detroiters patrolled the streets, kept their lights on, and worked closely with law enforcement officials to keep a lid on arson. The Halloween period in Detroit was a very quiet one last year. I want to keep that positive momentum going this year. That's why I've been saying, let's keep the devil out of Devil's Night. John George will tell you from Blight Busters that he and I have had a ongoing discussion about wanting to call it Angel's Night, but I don't want us to get lax. I don't want us to get into a mode that I got caught in 1994 with. I want us to stay focused and stay strong. And so with the continued support of the Detroit community, we will soon reach the day when Devil's Night is only a memory, and the TV crews that come from out of town to cover it will be forced to report on the positive news coming out of Detroit. Once again, therefore, our theme this year is Detroiters Standing Against Arson. Before I talk in detail about how each Detroit resident can get involved in this important effort, let me mention two programs that are in place to make our anti-arson effort a success. Firenet program. The Firenet program is a multi-jurisdictional effort on the part of federal, state, county, and city law enforcement officers to catch arsonists. This year, we plan to have more officers involved and utilize state-of-the-art communications technology. Last year, early on, when we had the several fires that took place, some in the media were wondering whether or not we were trying to keep the media away from the fire. That was not the case at all. But rather because of these professionals coming from our federal, state, and local law enforcement jurisdictions, fire as well as police, it was their desire to make sure that they could get to the scene right away, do some investigation, and to see whether or not we could focus in on the kind of criteria that was important to them to gather information as quickly as possible before many people, including the media, came on the scene. And so it was that effort that kept people away immediately from the fires, and we want to expand upon that again this year. Demolition. The City of Detroit is committed to the demolition of dangerous structures that could be used as targets of arson. We're putting special emphasis on making sure the debris is removed and holes are filled once the buildings come down, and that demolition process is underway. I might also add that last year we were in a rush to get the buildings down, thinking if we could keep the buildings down, we could go back with the use of the same contractors that tore the buildings down, and we could pick it up shortly after the demolition process. What we found is that some of our contractors did not live up to their obligation. They have been defaulted and the like, And so our commitment that we're finishing up now is that while we are tearing down houses and we're taking away the debris at the same time, we're completing the filling up the holes and taking away the demolition debris that our contractor should have taken away originally. So we will have a clean city from the standpoint of taking away the debris of the houses as we tear them down. On the new ones, we're tearing them down. And on those that we did not clean up last year, those will all be done before the Halloween season is upon us. Last year, the people of Detroit responded overwhelmingly to our anti-arson program. The same level of support is needed this year. So far, 14,352 volunteers have signed up and are already working hard to mobilize the rest of the community. In addition, we need almost 18,000 volunteers to reach our goal of 32,000. 32,000 Detroiters joined together to keep our neighborhood safe. Today, I'm putting a call out to all Detroit neighborhood associations, block clubs, churches, Million Man Marchers, unions, fraternities and sororities, businesses, secondary schools, city, county, state, federal employees, and all elected officials. Now is the time to get involved. And I want the message out as broad as we can make it, because I don't want anybody to think that anyone has been left out of our request of inviting everybody to participate with us. What can you do, Woody, you asked? Well, I'm glad you asked that question. We need volunteers to do the following: to patrol our neighborhoods on October 29, 30, and October 31st. Help us enforce our curfew. Once again, an emergency curfew for juveniles will be set in effect on October 30th. It will be unlawful for youth 17 years or under to be on our city streets without their parents or guardians from 6 p.m. on October 30th to 6 a.m. October 31st. Children should be supervised and made to comply with the Devil's Night curfew. Watch a vacant structure. Our Adopt a House program asks volunteers to watch or adopt specific vacant buildings in city neighborhoods throughout the 3-day Halloween period. Turn your porch lights or any outdoor lights on between dusk and dawn on all 3 days of the Halloween period. Become an eyes and ears volunteer. Look out your window on a regular basis and call 911 if you do see something out of the ordinary. And join the Orange Ribbon campaign. Wear your orange ribbon tied to a bow to show your support for our anti-arson campaign. You may also tie orange ribbons around your lamppost or trees in your neighborhood to let the would-be arsonists know that they are being watched. Provide clerical support. An army of volunteers is needed to work our telephone banks and getting our literature out to our community. We need more help, and we need all of you. I'm asking Detroiters to call our volunteer office at 224-4415. That's 224-4415. Or stop by our neighborhood city hall's offices, our police precincts, our recreational centers, or fire stations to sign up. The spirit of Detroit is alive and well. Not only is new development and new investment revitalizing our city, but community efforts such as this anti-arson campaign are increasing our unity and our pride. As we join together to keep the devil out of Devil's Night, or as John George would say, to promote Angel's Night, we are taking another step in making Detroit a world-class city. All of this development that you've seen in our city, from the commitment of General Motors to the interest of our 2 sports stadia, everything that you see comes as a result of our community pulling together, demonstrating to anybody who would see or listen that we care deeply about our community. We show it through Operation Clean Sweep, and we showed it last year over the 3-day Halloween period. Last year, when I left to go to Japan shortly after the Halloween period, we were there to celebrate our sister city a relationship with Toyota, and we had loaned artwork here from the Detroit Institute of Arts to the Toyota Museum. We stopped off to pay a courtesy visit to Ambassador Walter Mondale. he shared with me how the entire embassy was looking at the city of Detroit because they were concerned, since we'd had the problem in 1994, what would be the response of the city in 1995. And they literally had cheers for our city in terms of beating out the devil, taking the devil out of Devil's Night last year. The following month in December, I went out to the National League of Cities annual meeting. I can't begin to tell you the number of mayors and city council people that came up to congratulate our city on keeping or taking the devils out of Devil's Night. I had letters that came from video companies here in the city of Detroit who said how proud they were to write back or call back to people who had hired them to come out to cover the fires to say, we didn't have any fires in our city. Sorry, we couldn't take your business. That speaks volumes about how people have been watching our city. And when we step up as a community, it helps to build our community because businesses watch what we do. And if we come together as we have and continue to do so, we're going to create jobs and economic development. So for all who have been helping us with Operation Clean Sweep, let me say thank you. And for those who helped us last year and even the first year when I fell down in 1994, but I want to thank you for helping picking me up and picking up our city in 95. We need the same level of volunteerism and even more this year, especially in view of all the great announcements that have come to our city since last year. We really have to do our job this year. I can't do it by myself, but collectively we can make a difference. Now your questions, please.
Mr. Mayor, I noticed in the press packet